Remy, I don't know if you still read your Bible, but King Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, once wrote something in the book of Ecclesiastes that has puzzled readers for centuries. He said, "There's an evil I have seen under the sun. Fools are put in many high positions, while the capable are pushed aside. I have seen slaves riding on horseback, while princes walk on foot like slaves." Alright? When Solomon wrote those words thousands of years ago in Ecclesiastes 10:5, he probably did not imagine a future world with Twitter, hashtags, and digital political machineries. But if the old king were to be alive today and scrolling through Nigerian politics, he might simply nod his head and say, "Yes, this is exactly the strange things I warned you about." Because only in a place where Solomon's ancient observation still holds true can a man build his public reputation as one of the most aggressive and most foul-mouthed, combative political voices on social media like Reno, and then suddenly emerge as His Excellency, the Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. All right? Welcome to the curious diplomatic story of Reno Omokri, Nigeria's newest ambassador to Mexico, and perhaps the first ambassador in modern history who still behaves like a full-time Twitter attack dog and a social violence campaign marshal. Now, don't get me wrong, Oremi. Political attack dogs are not new in Nigerian politics. Every government has them. Some bark and bite on TV, some bark and bite in newspapers, and these days, some bite on Twitter like bulldogs who have not been fed for days like a Reno. But what usually happens when such a person becomes an ambassador is very simple. They drop the megaphone, they adjust their agbada, and I noticed that Reno has shown some great ones recently. And then they begin to behave like representatives of an entire nation. Apparently, nobody explained this memo to Reno, or he's so far gone in his obedient derangement syndrome. I call it ODS, obedient derangement syndrome, ODS, that he cannot be reasoned with or talk out of his anti-Peter Obi or political opposition madness. Because even after his appointment as ambassador to Mexico, I'm hearing, the man is still on Twitter every day, behaving like he is running a 24-hour political war room against PO, his former benefactor, Atiku, before he turned into a political turncoat. Every day, insults are flying. The opposition is being attacked by him. Critics are mocked. Even indefensible government missteps is defended by him with the enthusiasm of a man still collecting campaign allowances. At this point, one begins to wonder, is he Nigeria's ambassador or Tinubu's insult ambassador to Twitter? Diplomacy, in case anyone forgot, is supposed to be a refined profession. Ambassadors are expected to speak carefully, to avoid unnecessary partisan fights, to represent the entire country, not just the government of the day, regardless of what they think of the opposition. But Reno seems to believe diplomacy is simply Twitter activism with a diplomatic passport. I mean, already Bami Wo now, imagine the American ambassador to Britain spending his day on social media insulting Democrats or Republicans online. Or imagine the British ambassador to Canada launching daily Twitter attacks on opposition politicians on a social media handle. That would be considered completely inappropriate, and the president may even recall him. But in Nigeria, we shrug and we scroll. And our chief information officer, Bayo Nonuga, will probably give a great report about him to the president. Some observers are even saying that Tinubu cleverly posted Reno to Mexico to move him away from Nigerian political space because of his foul mouth that often reflect badly on the APC government. Since diplomatic assignments is how presidents hide away their embarrassing supporters. But if that was the strategy, Then, unfortunately, the noise has followed Reno Omokri to Mexico, where it was posted. Because Reno appears not to have noticed that when you become an ambassador, you are no longer just a political operative or political influencer. You are supposed to become a symbol of the whole nation. But symbols of nations usually do not behave like digital political bouncers who are guiding the nightclub of government propaganda. This entire episode reveals something deeper about our political culture in Nigeria. We have started confusing loudness with leadership and online aggression with intellectual seriousness. Otherwise, many of those that are put as ambassadors, what are they doing there? And the result, people who perfected the art of political gangsterism on social media have suddenly found themselves in offices that are traditionally reserved for quiet diplomacy and restraint. And the transition, well, that has not happened. Maybe they were not trained. Now, maybe Reno will eventually settle into the role and understand, or maybe the weight of the office will eventually slow down his Twitter fingers. But until then, Nigeria has the unique diplomatic distinction of having an ambassador who still behaves like the chief online thug or campaign marshal or social violence director of a ruling party. And one cannot help but ask a very simple question. When a nation sends an ambassador abroad, should that ambassador represent the dignity of the country or represent the daily arguments of Nigerians on Twitter? Until that question is answered, we may continue witnessing this curious new species in Nigerian diplomacy, the Twitter ambassadors of hate. And trust Nigeria. If this trend continues, we might soon have start appointing TikTok ambassadors too. God help us. In fact, God knows we need urgent help as a country.